I got my power pole down.
Welcome to the Power Pull Down podcast. Today we've got one of the hottest anglers on the planet right now, the 20-year-old phenom Trey McKinney. Trey, thanks for joining us, and man, congratulations on an incredible run you're on.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, buddy.
Cool. Yeah, you are absolutely on fire right now. Can you put into the words what's clicking so well for you lately? Is it a specific technique, a mindset shift, or is just everything falling into place?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a whole lot about fishing, that goes into it. It's mindset, confidence on a roll, momentum. There's so many other things in fishing that like make a difference. If you have a bad day and you're not thinking right, you're not having that flow of like, hey, let's go check this, let's go do that, instead of being, very set on one thing. That's one thing this year has been really good. That first tournament at Palatka was really tough for us. Like I literally finished at the bottom. And after that, I was almost like, kind of frustrated. I was like, I know we can catch them. I was like, what's going on? I was like, we didn't find them, which is, I'd rather not find them and not catch them than find them and not catch them. So I was like, okay. I was like, it's fine. It's no big deal. And we go to the next tournament, and that's at Okeechobee. And that's when we kind of got on that little bit of a roll. We ended up in the top 10 there. And then we went to the Classic, and we ended up second, and then we ended up third here last week. So it's been an unbelievable start to kind of grab that momentum back, kind of get it back going, and hopefully Hartwell this week we can keep that momentum going. I was like, me and that lake have a little controversy. That's for some reason been my kryptonite, but hopefully this time we can conquer it and hopefully catch some and hopefully finish in the top quarter.
Well, I love the positive attitude, especially, Florida's tough if you've got cold fronts. And to roll out of Palatka right down to Okeechobee and get that top 10, go to the Classic, and then Pasquotank, where nobody's ever been, and you go do well there. That's awesome. How do you mentally manage the pressure and the spotlight that comes with this kind of consistent high level success, especially at such a young age?
Absolutely, and there's a lot, and it's kind of good that I've fished for so long, and I know like a lot of people say for so long, and my career is so young, but I mean we spent so many days on the water, man. I mean it's just like it's what I love, right? So like when I get out there and I get in my moment and we realize what's going on, I'm like, you know what? I was like, it's just me and the bass. I was like, everything else. I was like, we're gonna let that fall in place. I gotta catch them before I can worry about anything else. So when we go out there, I don't care if it was Kevin Van Dam in front of me or behind me, whatever else like that. It is me versus the bass. I got to catch 5 of them just like everybody else, and hopefully my 5 weigh a bunch. And, that's just how it be sometimes. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, and sometimes you don't catch 5. And that's the thing about it is for pressure wise, is it's so. I love the sport so much, and I just kind of I get so deep into it, and I'm so like focused in those just catching those 5 fish that kind of everything else fades away. It's kind of like when I'm running down the lake, everything just starts to because right when I take off, of course I got this, that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. And then as I'm running across the lake, everything just starts to just fade away, nice and slow. And when I get to my first spot, I might have a few nerves built up left. And when I catch that first one, I'm like, Trey, it's time to go. We got to go fishing. And then that's right then is when we kind of like lock in. And that's kind of that 7.5 hours of amazingness. You go out there and you got to get 5 bites. And you don't know how you're going to do it, but you got to do it. And that's something I love about it. The sport it's an amazing thing.
Well, and I like what you said at the beginning is it's not about who you're against. It's not about the other 100 guys you're fishing against. It's against you and the bass and you
Yes,
figuring
sir.
it out. If you need to make an adjustment, you know what you found pre-fishing, but just fishing on the fly and being able to adjust because it's just you and the bass, not what everybody else is doing. Great way to look
Yes,
at it.
sir. And
Um,
that's what, and my mentor, Rick Cheatham, that's what he'd always told me. He's like, every time we get going, he'd be like, hey, what are we fishing against? I was like, the bass. He's like, that's right. I was like, you keep that mental attitude, you're gonna be good. I was like, okay. And that's how I've kept it this whole time. I was like, just keep it. I was like, there's no reason. Every time I think of something else, all it is gonna add more stress, and it's gonna add your plate to get heavier. And that's one thing I try to get. I try to keep my plate as light as I can.
Very nice. I like it. So take us back. You're only 20, but you've been competing seriously for years. When did you first get that spark for fishing? And when did you realize, hey, I want to chase this professionally?
Yeah, it's so I mean, of course you got to be old enough to realize, right? So like when I was younger, I wanted to fish, right? That's all I knew. That's all I knew. I just wanted to fish, and I didn't know all the roads. I didn't know what it meant to be an Elite Series angler. I didn't even know what it meant to, really grasp that feeling or grasp that concept. So when we went out there and we started fishing and we started in the junior level, which is a long way from where it is now, but we kind of started to grow from there and started having a little bit of success. And when I turned 16, I was like, okay, I got a boat and we got BFLs. And Rick was like, "Well, he's like, if you're wanting to learn, this is how you gotta learn." I was like, "Nobody's gonna be out there but you and a dude that's competing against another guy in your back of your boat." I was like, "You're gonna have to figure out real quick on how to make decisions on your own, how to understand pressure, how to fish against the pressure too as well." So once we started fishing the BFLs and our first one. I was nervous as can be. I mean, I didn't even know where I was gonna start, fish, didn't even know nothing. I had that was my first practice where I went practicing by myself for whatever 3-4 days to practice for this first BFL of mine I've ever fished. And when we got out there, I caught a few right off the bat. And we ended up third in my first BFL. And right there, that gave me, I don't know if I would have placed badly that first one, it would have it would have put a hold on me. It would have been hard to overcome that. And once I got that confidence, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, now okay, now I understand. And every time we kept going out there, we kept learning how to make decisions on our own, how to make that decision on the fly, not be hard headed. If something's not working and that's the only thing I got, even if it is the only thing I got and it's not working, we got to go find something else. So it meant a lot for me to fish those BFLs and team tournaments and stuff like that I could make those decisions on my own, and that's what helped me grow as an angler. I think more than anything.
Very cool. Can you say when fishing those, was there a specific moment or a tournament early on that you like really cemented your desire to pursue a professional fishing career? Was there just like that, oh man, I can do this?
Yeah, I would say that was on the opens. Honestly, of all the things, the opens was, man. I mean, anybody that listens that has fished the opens, they know. I mean, it is a brutal road. I mean, it is hard. You got everything. The stars have to align. I mean, it really does. There's so many good anglers in those in the EQs, and you mess up one time, and all of a sudden you look back and you're a leap behind everybody, and you're like, how is that even possible? Like, so in the opens that year was, I mean, I was so young, but I thought I grew gray hairs. Like, it was unbelievable. It was the most stressful thing. And once we overcame that and we're sitting there on the stage and he handed me the EQ trophy and it was like, welcome to the Elite Series. That was the moment I was like, holy cow, this is real. Like, this is happening like right now. And it was that moment right there. I kind of like got the taste of like, what else can we do? Right. Like the sky's the limit and fishing. I love it. And I enjoy it every time I'm out there on the water. It's endless learning. You can never stop learning. And that's the thing I love about fishing. When you think about it, there's no right or wrong. Everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own way of catching them. And that's one thing I love about it is you can go out there and build your own. You don't have to follow a puzzle. You don't have to, follow this or follow that. You can literally go out there and build your own technique. Figure out your own ways to catch them, your own secret baits, build baits. I mean, it's endless. And that's what I love about fishing is like I can go out there on the water one day and for some weird reason figure out one thing and it helped me for the rest of my life. That one thing can help you forever. And that's or even one tournament, even if it helps you win one tournament, that was completely worth it. So that's the thing I love about fishing really is just how crazy it can be. What a roller coaster it can be on figuring out stuff and learning and just kind of taking techniques and kind of building your own.
That's very cool. I like how you kind of went you know, you qualified, and then you're talking about, you're always learning, making your own lures. That's becoming a giant business now with all these glide baits, with all
Yes,
these
sir.
new, so that's really cool, how you're talking about that.
Yeah.
Um, Looking back at getting started, what was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome to get to where you are right now?
Biggest hurdle was probably honestly keeping a lock in during the day. Like when something would happen, when I was younger, when something would happen, it would devastate me. Like I would have a plan, and everything would be going right. Everything. I'd catch a 3 pounder here, like I thought. I'd catch a four over there. I catch a couple, and I have one more fish, and it was like 12 o'clock. I'm like, okay, one more bite, and I would hook like a 5 pounder, and it would come off, and I'm like, that I don't know what else to do. Like this is it. Like that was the only thing I had in my sleeve, and it's tough. I don't know how to get any more bites, and I would get really spun out sometimes. And that right there was the biggest hurdle that I had to overcome. Really, was when you realize how everything can be going so well, and it can turn around in a matter of seconds about how bad it could really actually be. So like to be able to like stay in the game was a huge thing for me. If something happened, or if my boat, something went wrong on my boat, the trolling motor, just little things like that sometimes will, kind of not let you think how you were, it kind of messes up your line. Like you're riding on your line, you have your plan and everything else like that. And once I know it sounds crazy, but once I got away from having a plan on the water, like I'm going to start here, I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go there, then I'm going to go there, then I'm going to have 18 pounds here and all that. Once I got away from that, it helped me tremendously, because all you can do normally if you have a plan is become devastated, because it usually never goes as planned. So like I would always plan out like exactly what I was gonna do, and like, okay, hopefully I'm gonna have 14 pounds by then, and then I'd get there in the tournament and I'd have like 2 fish. Like I was like, now I don't know what to do. Like I'm lost. But ever since I got away from that and I just kind of ran down the lake and I would feel it, I would just kind of go down and I'm like, you know what? I was like, it kind of seems right. We're gonna go start over here, even though I wanted to start over there. I'm gonna go right here, and then all of a sudden you'll catch a limit, and you're like, oh, okay, now it's going, and then you'll run down the lake, and you'll see one lay down on a flat bank. I'll go over there and flip it and catch a 4 pounder, and that's the type of stuff that was the biggest hurdle for me to get over. Was just kind of feel it as I'm going, just trying to make the right decisions. Honestly, was the biggest hurdle for me.
Well, and that is extremely hard to do in a very high level of fishing. When we go fishing with our friends, we can go to that lay down over there. Let's run
Yep.
over here and check out this current rip. But to do it in the heat of the moment of a tournament and just fish the feeling, like you said, when you lose a bass to complete your 5 fish limit, like in golf, you miss a putt, that can ruin everything. If you're
Yes.
in baseball and all of a sudden you think your shoulder's dipping, if you start questioning yourself, you're not following the plan and you're not fishing the moment. So for you to
Exactly.
just be able to go out there and fish naturally, we all have great pre-fishing, but then that pressure builds tournament day and there's
Yes, sir.
something about it. So to be able to put all that behind you, lose a fish and just keep grinding and not get spun out is amazing. That's so hard to do.
Yes, sir. And that's what I realized. I was like, why do I always catch them better in practice than I do in the tournament? I was like, why is that? And I was like, you know what? I think it's because I fish so free. Like I go fish. Like I don't do anything. I'm not worried about nothing. I'm going out there. And don't get me wrong, I can't do it every day. Like some days for some reason, I wake up and I'm like, oh, today's gonna be tough. I was like, I can just feel it. I was like, I don't know why, but I'm just mentally not like I'm not where I should be right now. But I was like, we're gonna make do. We're gonna go out there and fish our hardest. But it's kind of weird. I can wake up like that and sometimes kind of feel like I'm like, gosh. I was like, why today? Like why? Like why can't it just be after the tournament or something like that? But every once in a while you'll get that feeling. But it's. I always realized how I would do better in practice than I would the tournament. And right then, I kind of like around home. I know it's a difference, but I would in local tournaments, I would just go and I just fish. Like I would practice one day and I just kind of run around, look at everything, and then in the tournament, I would literally just go fish. And I started doing a lot better, like so much better, because I would practice religiously and this and that, and I'd have a plan. And for some reason, on these smaller lakes, I wouldn't do very good. Every time, I wouldn't do very good. I'd finish midfield, something like that. And when I figured out, I would just kind of run around, look at stuff, get the idea of what's going on, and the next day go out and just fish. I would finish in the top quarter to the top three. So that after I finished that, I was like, now I just got to learn how to do this underneath a lot of stress. And if I can do that, then it would help me a big time. So we're still learning, and I can't do it every time, but hopefully one day we can get to where we can just every time we go out there we can just fish as free as a bird. And you're not going to catch them every time, but if you're fishing like that, it makes it for a lot better day in general, honestly.
Well, it's very cool and exciting to hear because we're all watching you on our computers while it's happening, but to hear how you kind of get that feeling, are the fish coming to me, moving? Did the wind change? Is there bait coming around this point? But then to be able to pivot and actually do that in the moment is, that's huge.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk fishing style. When the conditions allow and everything's perfect, do you prefer grinding it out with a finesse tactic? Or you more, let's put the trolling motor down on high and cover a whole bunch of water type of guy?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so that's honestly that's honestly a great question. So it depends what we're doing, right? On a super tough fishery, and there's not a high population of fish. It's not like one of those places where you're around them type of thing. You just got to go. So those I'm always just flip as fast or as cast as fast as I can. Just go down the bank and get in front of an aggressive fish. But when I'm at a place, let's say like Fork or something like that, and I know I'm around them, like I'm like, oh yeah, I was like, those are giants. So like that's one of those things where I will drag out the finesse stuff. So it really depends. Like on big fisheries, and you can get in a good population, I will definitely pick a finesse tactic sometimes because those fish are smart. They're old, they're big, and they got that way from being smart. So a lot of times, unless you have the right conditions, like windy, cloudy, overcast, something that it allows you to go do that on like fishing for big ones going fast. Most of the time on those big fisheries, if I get in an area that I know they're there, I'll have a few tactics where I'll go around first, like a jig, something like a top water, something like that. And then I'll turn around and pick up the spinning rod, whether it's a drop shot, a Nico. I throw a Nico a ton. I love a Nico. Stuff like that. I love that on big fisheries. I'll stay in a little area and just figure out how to trick them to bite.
Well, and that's definitely true. Obviously, you had that spot in the canal in Okeechobee where you kind of hunkered down,
Yes, sir.
and you worked that little shell bar or whatever you had out there, smaller baits, and you were catching solid fish on Okeechobee. And then Pasquotank, no one knew what to expect, but then to see how that tournament evolved and everybody had to work their area and slow down to catch those bigger fish. So
Big
very
time.
true what you just said.
Yes, sir. It's so depending on the fishery, man. It's a big thing was why we had to slow down is there's literally endless cover. Like you could flip 3 inches over here and miss him because he can't even see it because it's so thick. Like that was the thing. There is what I realized. I was like, if I see 3 fish down this stretch, there's 20. Like
Yep.
that's exactly my mental. When I saw that, I was like, okay, we got to slow down. And what I do is I just flip into the thickest cover. I wouldn't see him, nothing. I just start flipping into the thickest cover, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 and you start catching them. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's so true. If you do see 3 fish, what's around the boat or what you can't see has got to be more. And having the
Yes,
confidence to stay is huge.
absolutely.
Oh. Thinking of specific techniques, maybe shallow cover or sight fishing beds, situation where boat control is critical. How important are tools like power poles in executing your game plan effectively?
Absolutely, it's huge. Like, okay, so the main thing about power poles that is the biggest player ever is like if you're rolling down the bank and you're like, okay, we're going down through here, you catch one or something like that, or you keep going, all of a sudden you see a piece of cover a little late. What I love to do with my power poles, I put them down, and when they touch the bottom, you'll feel the boat go real slow forward, and then all of a sudden it'll start to pull back, to go back to where they first hit and then lift them up. And so what it'll do is it'll push you forward and you get that momentum and it'll go like this. And all of a sudden, right when it goes to pull you back, you lift them up and it'll scoot your boat and just float you all the way backwards. So that way I can literally shoot in a pocket real fast. And if I'm in a hurry, like I am most of the time, and I'll run over something, I usually, if I didn't have a power pole, I would do it every time. But I go in there, I put them down, I wait till you kind of hear them kind of stretching out. Right when they pull you back, lift them up, and it shoots you back out, and you can flip that cover as thorough as you want. So that has been a huge player for me. It's caught me I don't know how many fish, and even bed fishing. I'll see a bed late, I'll do the same thing. Shoot me back, then I'll power pole down how far I want to be away without blowing that fish away. Because that's the main thing. When you turn that trolling motor around and you blow that fish out, I mean, it takes a long time to get him back normal. So to be able to move you and push you back with the power poles is huge. And then also with the move, what I like about it is it's quiet. So like I'm kind of weird on it, like slamming lids in the boat, fishing shallow. Like I'm not a big fan of it. Like I'm like I kind of like stepping easy, closing stuff easy. So if I had a loud trolling motor, it'd defeat the whole purpose of the whole thing. And that's the thing I like about the power pole move is if I want to creep around, I can turn it up to 10 and still be able to get that just nice creeping, easy speed, and actually still be able to go at a good like probably 1 mile an hour. Like it's pretty good fishing shallow. So I'll go like that fast or 0.5 to 1 mile an hour, just kind of creeping along down the bank real quietly, like, and still being able to cover water and not spook any fish, which is huge shallow fishing.
Yeah, that move, it definitely helps being quiet. But I like what you said because that's a very advanced technique. What we call it is the spring back. So if you're creeping at that 1.5 or half a mile to 1 mile an hour, and then you see a fish where you can get off the move, put your poles down, they grab, but then right at that moment, that spring moment, you lift them up and it pulls your boat backwards. So you didn't prop wash or the fish at all. And then you lock the power poles down. That is an extremely advanced technique. So I'm glad to hear that you figured that out and you're doing it.
Yes, sir. I love it. If anybody has it or has power poles, you need to try it because that thing, it'll help you catch many a fish.
Yeah, that spring back is pretty awesome.
Yes, sir.
Let's get into a little faith and values. You're known for being open about your strong Christian faith. How does your faith influence your perspective on competition, handling success, and navigating the inevitable tough days out there on the water?
Absolutely. I mean, my family, we've always been strong Christians, and that's one thing I love. The Lord is one thing that, when I'm out there, the main thing he does for me is bring me peace, right? If something happens, I'm like, all right, Lord, I was like, here I am again. I was like, I'm in a rock and a hard place. I was like, and I just kind of talk to him. It's not so much as like, when you pray to the Lord to make you strong, he brings you hardship, right, to make you strong. It's not something that like just you pray for it and bam, it just kind of just drops off in your hands. I wish it was, but it's not like that. But it's a lot of times that's what it is. The Lord, and anytime I'm praying with him or just talking with him, what I like to do with the Lord is just have general conversations, right? Like it's kind of like praying. But I just talk to him. I'm out there, just me, out there on the water. And when I need help sometimes, I'll just talk to him. And it really does. It helps me. It brings me peace. It calms me down. Or sometimes even on decisions, I'm like, Lord, give me a sign. I was like, I'd be running down the lake and I'll just sit there and I'll just kind of talk with him. And all of a sudden, I'm like, right there. I'm like, I don't know why, but we're going right there. And it gives me a very warm, fuzzy feeling when I'm out there. It makes me feel like I'm not alone. I got somebody that, it's such a great feeling. I hope people would understand it, about how much he does for you. And honestly, I have a man that sends me a Bible verse every day or every other day, anytime. And every time I hear my phone go off at about the same time, I can't wait to look at it because it's always something new. I'm not a very good reader. I sometimes the Bible, talking to anybody, the Bible can be confusing. It's a very confusing thing when you get to reading through there. There's a lot of things that, it kind of makes sense, but you don't fully grasp it. You don't understand it. And that's one thing, having somebody like this guy that just kind of helps me, or if I have any questions with the Bible, he'll help me go through it, or just if somebody to listen to, and that's been a really important thing with even my career, my life, anything else like that has been a huge player. Just sitting down and praying and reading a few of the little bit of the scripture some days can give you just a boost. Like you won't even notice it, and you sit down, and every day I read that Bible verse, or sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'm like, I need something. I'll just flip through Bible verses and I'm like, that one. And I just read it a few times. Just read it a few times, and and that's it. It just gives you a good, just a morale boost. It kind of helps you out through your day. And that's the thing I love about the Lord is he helps us in so many ways, but when you're out there and you can just have a conversation with him, it's pretty special. It's I love it. It's a big part of me.
I like that. And hearing this whole story about you being able to fish freely, being able to fish in the moment, and knowing there's something out there helping you make these decisions, whether they're good or bad.
Yes, sir.
I think it's really allowing you to fish just free and clear, which is hard to
Absolutely.
do.
And that's what I say too. I was like, if I make a bad decision, I was like, there's a reason. I was like, I'm gonna learn from it. And that's like anything. And even like the last day, I would have ended up second, but I lost a 5-pounder. I lost 5-pounder right at the boat, and I never had a fish fight like this fish had fought. It was really weird. It was like fighting upside down and all sorts of weird. I've never seen a fish like that in my life. I was so puzzled. I was like, what in the world is he doing? And all of a sudden it came off. I was like, you know what? And just anything like that I can learn from, right? I mean, even though now does it suck? Yeah, it does. It hurts a little bit that you lose one and anything else like that. But at the grand scheme of things, I kind of learned how next time when that happens or anything else like that out there that I can handle it now. I know what to do in that situation now. Because when I set the hook and this fish was doing all that weird stuff, I didn't know what to do. I was just cranking. I was like, I don't even know what to do. He was like literally fighting upside down weirdly. Like it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And there's a few things I think I could have done to land the fish. And that's what I told my cameraman. I was like, you know what? I was like, there's no reason to get crazy, bent out of shape about it. I was like, is it going to cost me a little bit of money? Maybe a point or two? Yeah, it will. But I was like, it's honestly more beneficial for me to get out there and kind of learn a little bit and kind of gain that because the more and more big fish I lose, the less it really knocks me out of the game, right? I was like, now it's not a great thing, and I don't. Hopefully, nobody has to lose a bunch of them to figure it out. But it really does help. Every time I lose one, I grow more and more. What would be a good word? Kind of tougher, against it. It doesn't bother me as much anymore. So that's one thing is when I talk to him, I pray to him. It just it brings me some hardships. But I think as anything, it betters me as a person. And it betters me as my career.
Very cool. Great way to talk about that. And it's hard to lose big fish, but
Very.
um,
All
yeah.
of us want to say some words sometimes. It does happen. I'm guilty too sometimes, but it is. It can some days it's that wrong moment. It's like that. You need it, and then all of a sudden it happens, and you're like, oh, it's like nope, nope. I'm staying quiet. I'm good. It's all good. And you just go on.
Well, I'd say you're excellent at that because that is very, very tough to do at that level. Um, if we could get into kind of your personality and tour life, beyond being an intense competitor out on the water, what does Trey McKinney like to do off the water, or what do you enjoy doing to relax and recharge from fishing?
Yeah, so I'm a very very simple person. I like to fish and I like to shoot things. I like to
All
shoot
right.
everything. Anything that lives, breathes, and is like legal to shoot, I am all for it. I love hunting. My personally, I like waterfowl the best. Heck, I'll hunt every day of waterfowl season if I can. I travel like last year. I'll start up in Canada and I work my way down. It's a love of mine. I love it just as much probably as fishing, honestly, because it's kind of the same aspect. I'm still out there and I'm trying to figure out Mother Nature, right? Mother Nature has its amazing ways of adapting to pressure, anything else like that. So there's always stuff you can learn and little techniques. So I love it. But I'll usually start in Canada, come back to Illinois, and I'll just keep working down. Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. So that's one thing I love is that I deer hunt a little bit. I love turkey hunting, but I hardly don't get to do it usually because now we're in the busyness of the fishing world. But me as a person, like, what do I do is kind of I'm either doing one of those, and honestly, for me to kind of wind down, I just like just on it kind of sounds weird, just quiet. I mean, honestly, like anything, I'll just be out in the woods or fishing or nothing like that. I won't say a word all day. Just just go out there and just enjoy it. Not don't answer my phone. I don't look at my phone, nothing like that. I just go out there and I'm just me, and that's how I wind down. I really like it. It's like after a big tournament or something like that, and I got the drive. I'll just drive. I won't call nobody. I won't text nobody. I'll just drive. Just kind of it gives me a little time to wind down, think about stuff. Okay, if this happened this tournament, how am I gonna kind of avoid that the next tournament? What am I gonna do different here and there? So that's what I do a lot of times after a big tournament or after something bad that happened or anything else like that. I just kind of just just quiet as can be, and I just kind of like to think about it. I just kind of replay some stuff, and that really helps me. Is I like just being out, just listening to the woods or out on the water mainly.
Yeah, there's something to be said about just being in a field, waiting in a swamp, or up in a tree, and just sitting in nature for hours, quiet, reflecting on what's going on. You have a lot of great thoughts running through your head and get a lot of clarity and can focus on that next event.
It is. It's honestly the nicest thing ever is when you're out there and the birds are chirping and you're just kind of sitting there, and it is. It's kind of special, that we have that. We're able to do that. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Being one of the younger anglers on tour, how do you find the dynamic with the more seasoned veterans? Is there a good mix of camaraderie or rivalry?
I would say rivalry for sure. A little bit more like camaraderie. I think it's getting a little better this year. I kind of felt like these last couple tournaments have been pretty good. I don't feel like I'm getting the eyes from anybody or getting too like looked at or stared at, and it's kind of sad because nobody will say anything to your face. I'm kind of I'm a straight up. If you don't like me, tell me. I don't really. It's not gonna affect me. I was like, we all got people we don't like. It's life. I was like, I understand it. I was like, you might not be a big fan of me. Well, I probably not. It's not a big fan of you. I was like, it's all good, and that's one thing I wish a lot of the guys would do is, when they got a problem, they usually pick other ways to spread their problem with you and or anything else like that. And it's kind of I don't think that's very right. I think if you got a problem with somebody, I think you just need to take it up with them, because after you usually take it up, it's fine. Usually it doesn't bother you as much as what it's just sitting in your mind, just peddling around and what can I do this? And like if you let it out to that person that you have a problem with, it seems like everything goes over so much better. But there's not much of that out there anymore, unfortunately. But it's been good though. I think this year some stuff has started to get a little better. Even at the weigh-in lines and everything, some good guys, and there's a lot of good guys, man. We're all fishermen. We all love the sport. We're all usually outdoorsmen. We all share like kind of the same passions, really. So it's sad when we kind of don't see eye to eye. I mean, we're fishermen. If we sat in a big room, not one of us could all agree on one thing. I guarantee it. But that's kind of the beauty of it. We all have different opinions, and whether we like it or not, we all still wear the same patch. It's kind of like we're a big family. It's just sometimes family does get in a few arguments as well, but it's been good. I think this year, I think everything's kind of looking up though.
Well, I think you said a lot of good stuff there. Talking to each other face to face. Let's eliminate the rumor mill or what could be happening. Let's talk it out so we're all clear. And then another thing, you came on tour last year, young, first year, on fire. Is it lucky? What's going on here? How's he doing so well? But now we're on year 2, and Okeechobee, solid finish, classic, amazing finish, Pasquotank. It's not luck. You're an amazing fisherman. And I think gaining that respect of how good you actually are is all coming to fruition. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Give us a little insight into your life. Any funny stories, unexpected moments, or maybe gossip from the road this season?
Yeah, there's no telling, man. My life can be. I sometimes I don't do the smartest things. I screw up just like everybody else. My mom was like, if anybody can break it, I can break it. For some weird reason, I have that, I guess, good trait in me. I was like, anything that if it's rubber, it could be a rubber ball, and I'll find some way to tear it up. But no, it's been really good. I'm trying to think of anything crazy that's happened. I have got stuck a few times this year. Big time. I was at Okeechobee actually. Beached on a sandbar. I was like, I can make it, I can make it, and then all of a sudden I was like, I can't make it, and I was sitting there. The boat was like leaning on the sandbar. Had a few things like that was kind of I sit there and give myself a pep talk like I'm gonna make this. I was like, this run, I'm gonna make that sandbar. It don't got nothing on me, and then all of a sudden I'm high centered right in the middle of it. But yeah, we've had some good times, and that's the thing I like about fishing on the road. We got a couple guys we travel with, so it kind of keeps the camaraderie good. Give each other a hard time, and that's the thing I like about it is like I travel like me, Tyler Williams, and then we keep going. Like usually we'll go to like different campsites or stuff like that. So we're all pretty close. If something does happen, we always got tools or something we can fix it. And usually we always give each other a hard time because usually it's something that we could have definitely not done. But usually we're like, oh, we can make it or something like that. But yeah, it's just, and that's what I like about it. I was like, it's kind of fun growing up sometimes, like right now in my life is like I'm young, I still do some dumb stuff. And you kind of look back and you kind of laugh at it because it's kind of funny. I was like, why would I even think that? Like, why would I even do that? And then you kind of sit there and think about it. But no, it's been a really fun journey these last couple years on just kind of how everything has been, how how it start. I look back on how it started and where we are now, and it's like I can kind of sit there and just laugh about some of the stuff. It's been good just to kind of reminisce on what has happened these last few years. It's been awesome.
Very cool. Well, now I got to know if you trim it high and let it fly like that, were you able to push? Did you have to get a bass boat or the old Okeechobee airboat to pull you off that?
Yeah, so it was almost dark, and I let her flew till it didn't go no more, and I was almost made it too, and finally I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna have to eat a prop. I was like, as much as I don't want to have to pay for a prop, I was like, I'm gonna have to eat a prop because I got out, and this is kind of a funny thing to it. So I was sitting there on the sandbar, and I tried pushing, and I'm not very strong at all. So I was like, I'm not very big either. I only weigh like
Oh, the
buck
boat
20.
didn't lift up 3 inches when you got out?
No, I'm telling you, it didn't even move. And I'm pushing and pushing and pushing. And I was like, I can't even move it. So I trimmed the motor down. I'm giving it all she's got. I'm like, yeah, I'm moving about a foot, just kind of using this mud motor. That Mercury's been amazing. I was like, that thing's been dependable as ever. But I didn't realize, I wasn't thinking, how I trimmed it all the way down to where it almost like picked up the boat and we could go. Well, that prop dug a hole about 2 foot. And I didn't think anything of it because it's like ankle deep, and I couldn't see it. It was real muddy. And I walk around that boat to push, and I slip and eat crap in that hole. Just back flop right into the sand. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was just laying there in the water, and I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, it's getting dark. I'm just laying in
Yep.
there in gator water in a giant hole that I dug by myself. It was terrible. But we finally got off of it after it probably took us about an hour to get off of it. But
Golly.
once we got off, we got off, and I went straight to the boat ramp. I went and got me something to eat. I'm like, today is over. Tomorrow's a new day. So it was something else.
I'm glad you got off because not just the gators, the bugs, pythons, who knows what's coming out at night out there in the swamp.
Exactly. Them mosquitoes will literally carry you off. Like they if you get enough of them, you won't be there.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Um, Looking back, even though your career is very young, what's a favorite fishing memory that stands out? Maybe one that wasn't even during a tournament.
Absolutely. Me and Rick Cheatham have had so many great memories fishing together. Really, when I was younger, we had won some boats together, and stuff on Chickamauga. And one time it was me and him, and this 9-pounder, we couldn't figure out if she was on bed. Like, she was really weird. She was weird. She'd roam over here and roam over there. And we tried catching her, and finally I flew my bait up there or whatever, and we were kind of sitting there and we were watching her, and I didn't know exactly where my bait was, and I couldn't see it really. And me and Rick look at each other, like, does she got my bait? And she was like nosing down, and I thought my bait was like 2 foot over to the right, and I was sitting there and I'm like pulling, you know how your line makes a big bow, and I like pull my line up, and the bow just goes straight to her. And I see her like go down and like quiver like that. I'm like, Rick, oh my goodness. And I like reel down and I set the hook, and this 9-pound, it weighed 9 too. It just takes off through this clear water. I mean, we can see it perfect as ever. I mean, the whole way back to the boat, we could see her fight. And it felt like it took us 10 minutes to wrestle this thing in. And it was going around the boat, underneath the boat. We pulled the trolling motors up, pulled the power poles up. I mean, it was unbelievable on a little spinning rod. And we kept going around, and we landed it, and we could barely get it in the live well. And I tell you, me and him has had some amazing times together, just like fishing memories, road memories, just everything in general. I'd say some of my best fishing memories have been with him for sure.
Well, what a amazing mentor you had in Rick. And I just find it amazing how the whole story you just told, you remember every little bit, the line, everything. And that's going to stay with you forever. Those are the cool stories that are embedded in our head. When you think about your career beyond the trophies and the checks, what's truly important to you? What do you hope your legacy will be?
I want to be consistent. I want somebody to look, and I was like, my goodness, I was like, he was consistent. You know, like that's my main thing. I guess I never had wanted to be that guy where, you know, he wins one, he bombs 3, wins one, or he does good in one, then bombs 5. Like that's the thing where it always kind of, I don't know, I've always had trouble with that. Like I understand why, you know, every once in a while you'll do good, you'll get on them. Maybe it's just how you fish or anything, but I've always wanted to be that guy. When I go out there, I figure out something to be consistent. No matter where we go, whether we're in North Carolina, Florida, Texas, New York, Wisconsin, wherever we go, I've always wanted to be that guy where I can figure it out enough to become consistent and finish in that top quarter. So I guess anything of a legacy, I would love to just have that straight line. You know, of course, it's going to go like this. We're all going to have that, but I love being consistent. And I feel like every day I'm out there on the water, every time I'm sitting there and trying to learn more, and every time I learn something, I put it towards just being more consistent, adding something else to my arsenal where if it's going tough, I can catch that 2 fish or that 1 fish that bumps me up 2 or 5 to 10 or 15 places that brings me up to that top quarter and just keeps me consistent. So I think that's my biggest thing that I try and learn and literally grind as hard as I can is just to be consistent mainly.
And I like what you said, a legacy to be an angler, you know, whether this guy's a jig fisherman, this guy can flip docks, this guy's amazing with the square bill or the lipless. When we go up north, get prepared. An amazing legacy would be, no matter where you're at, to have all those techniques and to be able to dial it in across the country would be an amazing legacy. And the finishes will all come if you're that good.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I see. Like just like how you said, we're like, you know, certain angler like, we'll go somewhere and be like, oh goodness, you better watch out for so and so.
Yep,
Like
absolutely.
you know, like there's always that, and I've always just wanted to be that angler, like, well, I wonder what Trey's gonna do this week. Like, how is he gonna catch him? Is he gonna, you know, like I've always like keep him guessing. Like I don't really honestly know what my strength is anymore. You know, I fish a jig, I fish a Nico, I can crank, I can chatterbait, I can top water, I can throw a glide bait. I love throwing a glide bait. I mean, I can drag, I can fish offshore. That's the thing I love about how I fish is I can do just, I don't know. I mean, I can't do it as good as the other people that's their strengths, but I can catch fish doing about whatever. And that's the thing I love is every time I go out to new fisheries and stuff, I just try to learn something that I don't have in my arsenal. So every time my arsenals just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, where it is like that. No matter where we can go, I can figure usually some little sneaky way to catch them.
Very cool. And in the end of the year, in the end of the day, you know, you're dangerous on all bodies of water. You're going to finish consistently. So whether it's Angler of the Year, obviously you already got Rookie of the Year, you're going to be in the Classic. So being able to do that throughout the season is huge.
Yes, sir.
With so much success already, what are your next big goals that you're setting for yourself in your fishing career?
My biggest one I'm after is Angler of the Year. You know, last year really stung. You know, having it. I mean, and honestly, it might have been good not to do it for my the first year. You know, it might be really nice that, you know, it's gonna make it that much more special, right? I mean, if and I mean, not getting lucky or whatever else like that. The first year, you know, having that chance to win it, if I that one tournament, like I mean, literally, if I wouldn't have got DQ'd because of technical difficulties on that one tournament, I would have blew it away. And so I think even having that, like where I could touch it, and I feel like going on through my career, and someday hopefully I do it, but that one day is gonna make it so special. Like it's gonna, I mean, I'm probably gonna, it's gonna be awesome.
I can't agree with you more. Like you said, just thinking about that, if you had won that year, and if you had won the Classic a month ago, like you now were so close to it. That's just got to drive you to fish so hard. And when you do win it, it's going to really mean a whole lot.
Yep, and it literally, that's the thing with the Classic. I wanted that so bad, and I was on the fish to win. I was on them, man. I was on them. I mean, that day too, when I had whatever 15 and a half pounds, I bet I seen 30 pounds go down on my, you know, jerk bait, jig, whatever I threw is crazy. And that's the thing when I saw that, I was like, you know, halfway through the day, I was like, Trey, not meant to be. I was like, buddy, I was like, you know, I was like, we're along this for the journey. I was like, this is the start of my career. I was like, it's all right. I was like, you know, we're gonna go fishing. And I was like, we still got some time. Hopefully, we make it happen. But I was like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. So we just kind of went on, because the both days that I caught them, I had the biggest bag of the tournament. It was just the first day and the second day, not the third day. So or the middle day, but it was all right. It was amazing experience anyways. That place, it was pretty cool for my first Classic to be able to do that and experience that. It was, man, I will say the nerves, I had never had nerves like that. That was pretty unbelievable. That second day, my nerves were, I mean, I had like I couldn't like breathe right at first. Like if I was standing on land, I was real nervous, and if I was in my boat on the water, I was less nervous. But it was really weird. I'd never been that nervous in my life.
Well, we definitely could see with the footage and everything of you at the dock going into day two on a lake that's got giants, but the wind's just ripping, challenging everybody out there. You know, I can't imagine that feeling.
Yes, sir.
Um, well, awesome stuff, Trey. And we thank you so much for sharing your journey with us here on the Power Pull Down podcast. Before you go, where can folks follow along with your season and connect with you online?
Absolutely. So I have Instagram. It's Trey McKinney Fishing. I have that, and then I also have my Facebook, which is the same. It's Trey McKinney Fishing as well. I post all my stuff on there, bait recaps. You know, we try to get some really cool videos. You know, trying to like with all the products and baits and just lifestyle stuff. So it's pretty cool, and I really appreciate if you guys follow along and get to see it, and hopefully, you guys, I can help in any way.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to watching the next tournament, and good luck for the rest of the year.
All righty. Thank you, everybody.
Cool. Have a good day.